Tonight we are going to talk about check-ins. And this call is called Check-ins, your secret weapon. Okay, so tell me right off the bat in the chat, have you ever rushed through your check-in just to get it done? Just either give me a thumbs up or say yes or me if you can relate to that at all. Because no shame, I think we've all done that. I know I have with my own coach, just like like just get it done, check off the boxes. But I'm hoping by the end of tonight that you start seeing those 10 minutes differently and that they give you some value and you understand how they help you get the results that you're working for. All right, so we're gonna go over some do's and don'ts, okay? So, see your check-in as more than an update, all right? So we're not just looking for your weight, your macros, your workouts. We're looking at the whole picture and we're trying to connect dots most of the time. We are trying to see what's working, what keeps coming up, where are we getting stuck, identify patterns, and we're also trying to catch problems early. We also are looking for wins because often we're missing the wins, especially as women. We're just looking at the things we're not doing and missing the things that we're doing right. And we want to celebrate those. And we also use check-ins to decide what needs to change. Now, sometimes the answer is to change something, and sometimes the answer is to keep doing exactly what you're doing and change nothing. And that is important for us to communicate to you as well. And just overall, the more we know, the better we can coach you. All right, don't leave out the context. So your numbers don't exist in a vacuum, right? So we need to know how hungry you've been. You know, if you're hungry, maybe you need more food, or maybe you need more whole foods. Maybe you're hungry and that's why you think you don't have willpower and you're overeating in the evenings, right? Okay, so how are you sleeping? Sleeping is really, really important. This is where we recover, but it also affects our hormones, like our hunger hormones, and it can make us hungrier. If we're not getting enough sleep, it can, result in less energy and honestly just less bandwidth to want to stick to your plan, okay? Energy and stress is another one of those. Stress is a huge piece of the puzzle when it comes to just supporting our bodies while they're burning fat. And these are things that can tell us if we're going too hard, if we're being too aggressive. These are all really, really important things for us to know. We also want to know about your soreness. This is another indicator of how we are recovering. And we obviously want to make sure you're getting a little bit sore sometimes so that we know that we're actually challenging you. How are you feeling in your workouts? Like, how is your training going? Are you feeling strong, or are you feeling like you're just kind of going through the motions and just checking the boxes? And then lastly, we want to know what's actually happening in your real life. You know, we have clients that go through grief or loss or sickness or a loss of a job, all of these things. Maybe you just had your grandkids all week long. All of these things matter so that we can coach you, so we can better coach you. All right, so do is help us connect the dots. As you can see, this little detective lady, we look like this most of the time, okay? Because one piece of information rarely tells us the whole story, right? We're looking for patterns, not just judging individual days. So some examples: the scale jumps up, but we also notice that you slept terrible all week. Maybe your hunger is suddenly an 8 out of 10, but you went for a hike in Yellowstone for a couple days. Maybe your workouts felt harder, but you're really, really stressed at work. Maybe your nutrition slipped, but you had a lot of social events this week. And then the last example is your weight hasn't moved, but your measurements are changing. This one is huge. Nothing's happening. My weight isn't going down, but like Jennifer said, then you take your waist measurement and you lost a couple inches. So this is why all of those things matter. And it helps us discover like the why behind the what, right? And we want to identify triggers, what keeps coming up, and look at the root problem instead of just the symptoms. Okay, don't rush through your check-in. This one is really, really important. So you don't need to write us a novel, but one-word answers give us very little to coach from, okay? So there's a big difference between my nutrition was fine versus I hit my target most days, but around 3, I was starving and started snacking while I made dinner. That happened 3 times this week. Do you guys see the difference? This gives us more information to actually understand what's going on. So I want you to take a few minutes and actually reflect before answering. Your check-in should make you think too, okay? So your check-in is the opportunity for you to think about how your week went. The process of answering these questions is part of the coaching. Like it forces you to look at your week instead of just reacting to how you feel. So nutrition was fine. Technically, it answers the question, but it doesn't really give us much to work with. So the more specific the answer, we can figure out where the struggle happened and why. All right, do be honest and transparent, not perfect. Not perfect. There is zero benefit to making your week look better than it was for us, okay? You do not get graded on this. I know there are people in this room that probably got straight A's, and I was the girl that would probably make it perfect just so I could get an A, okay? But that's not gonna help you. We are not disappointed when you miss a workout, when you go over on calories, when you had a hard weekend, when you drank alcohol. Okay, we are not disappointed. These are the situations that we need to understand. So, successful clients say, I emotionally ate this weekend. I had more drinks than I planned. I've been rushing through my workouts. I'm struggling with motivation. I'm frustrated with the scale. I feel behind. And then most importantly, this one, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but ... right? Like we are not judging you. And chances are we've been there ourselves. So these are the exact situations we want you to be transparent about. And honestly, the weeks where you're tempted to tell us less is probably when you need to say more. Okay, like if you feel yourself just like, I don't even want to do this, I don't even want to share, I'm feeling discouraged about my week. Like we have clients who skip their check-ins because they had a bad week. Like that is opposite of what we want you to do. So lean in when you have a hard week. All right, do let us in. So sometimes what's holding us back isn't knowing what to eat or how to, train properly. It's usually mindset. Okay. And we can't guess this. I mean, we can try, but there might be things happening like you're feeling discouraged. You have kind of this all or nothing thinking coming in. You're feeling like you're failing. You're wanting to throw in the towel. You're feeling behind. You're comparing yourself to people you saw on the internet or your coworkers at work. Maybe there's some like deep rooted beliefs that you have about yourself. Like, I'm just always going to be this way. I'm just broken. It's so much easier for everyone else. That's a big one. If you're struggling mentally, we want to know just as much as even more than if you hit your protein goal, okay? We want to know what's going on in your head. We want to know what you're thinking about. And so a lot of these things have kept us stuck for years, you guys. They're patterns and behaviors. And so if we don't know what's happening in your head, we can't help you through it. So I know it's hard, but just try to be as transparent and let us in as much as you feel comfortable. All right, don't forget to celebrate the wins. This is part of the process for a reason. We naturally, especially as women, look for what went wrong. Check-ins should teach you to notice what's getting better, okay? It's teaching you what's going better, especially when the scale isn't giving us the validation that we want, right? Like, I was a queen of quick fixes. I was used to the scale going down super, super fast and all the time. And so when I wasn't getting that validation from the scale, I thought I was doing something wrong or I was behind. So when the scale isn't giving you the validation, we have to look for other wins, okay? So maybe you handled a restaurant differently. Maybe you got back on track faster after going off plan. These are huge wins because they're signs of change. These wins show us that your behaviors and your identity are changing even when the scale hasn't caught up yet. So we want you to learn to recognize your progress. That's why we ask for wins all the time, because these behaviors, they will be the things that will eventually create the physical change. And these things happen before the physical is obvious. Does that make sense? All right. Don't watch your feedback and disappear. Shannon's cheering for this one. So we say don't check in or don't check out. Check in, don't check out. Okay. So you guys, your video feedback, the Loom video we send you, it is not the conclusion of your check-in, all right? So we may give you suggestions, adjustments, a different perspective. We may ask questions. We may give you something to work on, encouragement, a little push, a little nudge, all right? So we need you to respond back. We need you to tell us what landed, what didn't make sense, what you have questions about, and what you're going to work on. So this is the beginning of the conversation. Does that make sense? All right, so to piggyback off that point, we also want you to tell us when you feel resistance to the things that we're saying. This is really, really important feedback. So tell us when you feel resistance. We do not want blind compliance, like, oh, okay, yep, yep, I'll go do that. That is not what we want. Right? So if we suggest something and your first thought is, that is not going to work, tell us why. Like maybe there's a practical reason, like there's no way I can fit that into my work schedule this week. Okay, awesome. Now let's have a conversation so we can figure out what will. Maybe it's emotional. Honestly, that just feels very overwhelming. Again, the start of a conversation. Maybe you're feeling discouraged. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like I'm trying so hard already. So good, so good. Like we want to hear the thought that comes back or that comes up for you, okay? So pay attention to what you think when we're sharing our little Loom video, and like even how your body is responding. If you're just like, oh, I do not want to do that, or that feels horrible, or I feel like you're saying I'm failing. Like we are not going to be offended at all, okay? We want you to communicate with us that resistance. So you're allowed to disagree. I'm not sure I want to make that change. Awesome. We will figure out, something that you are comfortable with. Does that make sense? I keep saying, does that make sense? All right. So tell us what's coming. Okay. This is one of the most underused parts of a check-in. So don't just report what happened last week. Help you to prepare for next week. Okay, so you have travel, dinner, crazy work schedule, birthday parties. You're not going to be sleeping. You have family stress. We can help you make a plan before you're standing in the situation trying to figure it out. Okay, that's why you have a coach. So I would much rather you tell us ahead of time so that you're not standing in a restaurant starving, or you're 3 days into vacation thinking you blew it, right? Planning ahead is much easier than damage control afterwards. And it's going to help you change those behaviors for the long run, for good. All right. Don't wait until check-in day. Message us or post in the group when something changes, you're struggling, you have a question, a workout doesn't feel right, you're hungry, life throws you a curveball, you need help, you have a win. Your weekly check-in is dedicated time that we take to zoom out and look at the whole picture, but you never, ever, ever have to wait until check-in day. Your check-in is just a formal conversation where we look at everything together. We want you to message us anytime. You have access to coaching all week, every day, so use it. And then lastly, just to drive home the point, this is an ongoing conversation. So check in thoughtfully, be honest, get feedback, respond to it, take action, tell us what happened, and then we use that information again. This is what coaching is, okay? So we named this check-ins your secret weapon, but your check-in in itself isn't the secret weapon. The conversation it creates is. Okay? So the more open you are with us, the more we understand, and the more we can work together to help you move forward.